Why do you keep attracting people in your life that seem great on the surface but don't have the best intentions for you? Now, don't get me wrong, they're charming, they seem to be emotionally available, they say all the right things, and they make you feel like you finally met somebody who gets you. And before you think, hey, I'm not stupid, I would never fall for a manipulator. I'm talking about really smart, intelligent women who are emotionally aware. And if someone has showed up controlling, cruel, or obviously manipulative from the beginning, obviously you would walk away without a second thought. So why does this keep happening to you? Now, here's what almost nobody tells you. You're not attracting more manipulative person than the average person. Most women meet manipulators all the time. The real question is, why do they get to enter your life and stay in your life? That is the question that changes everything. I don't believe it's about who you're attracting. I believe it's about who is allowed entry into your life and who is allowed continued access and energy, and why they feel familiar enough to trust in the first place, or why they feel like they are someone who gets to stay. And once you understand why this happens, you'll stop asking yourself, how did I miss the signs? And you'll start recognizing the pattern before it becomes another painful relationship. And today I'm going to share the 5 hidden reasons why. Number one, they feel familiar, not safe. Now, one of the biggest myths about relationships is that we choose what's healthy. We don't, we choose what's familiar. And it depends what was happening in your circumstances and your family home and your environment when you were growing up. If love felt really unpredictable, if love was something that you had to earn approval for, and it was something that you always felt like you were walking on eggshells and you were trying to keep the peace, then those experiences can become your definition of connection. So when someone recreates that emotional landscape, your mind doesn't necessarily say danger. It says, I've been here before and it feels like home. And familiarity can have a lot of chemistry, but familiarity alone isn't enough to make someone feel irresistible. There's something else happening. And before we get to that, if you're wondering what's been shaping your decisions, I've created a free survival archetype quiz that helps you uncover some of the most hidden patterns influencing your relationships, your decisions, and the people you naturally feel drawn to. And you'll find the link for that in the description below. Let's move on to the second reason. They reflect back exactly what you're longing for. Now, people wearing a mask are often excellent observers. They notice what matters to you. They mirror your values, your dreams, your humor, your vision for the future. They say me too a lot, right? And it feels like you finally met someone who truly sees you. And sometimes that's genuine. And sometimes it's a performance designed to create trust quickly. And that's why it can feel so convincing. But even that isn't what keeps you there. The next reason is where many smart women become trapped. You believe the story instead of watching the pattern. Words are so easy. Anyone can promise consistency. Anyone can say, I'm emotionally mature. Anyone can talk about honesty and commitment and all the things that you can read in books, right? Character is not revealed through what someone says, it's revealed through what someone repeatedly does. Now, stop listening to what they tell you. Start putting them on mute. Start watching their actions and pretend that you can't hear anything. And start asking yourself, what pattern are they showing me? Watch their behavior. What would you think about this person based on their actions? Because patterns are so much harder to fake and especially consistently. So there's another reason the pattern is so difficult to see in the beginning, and that is because intensity feels like intimacy. Many unhealthy relationships begin at full speed. Constant messages, big emotions, talking about the future, feeling like you've known each other forever. It feels exciting, it feels rare, especially if you've been single for a long time. It can feel like fate, it can feel like destiny, but intensity isn't intimacy, and real intimacy grows slowly. It doesn't need to convince you, it reveals itself over time, and it feels calm, grounded, steady, and stable. Finally, there's one reason that ties all of this together. You wait for certainty instead of trusting your discernment. After you've been hurt before, it's natural to put your guard up. You tell yourself, next time I'll be more careful. You start looking for undeniable proof. You start looking for the major red flags, like a lie or a betrayal or something concrete that gives you permission to leave. So you can be certain, so you can feel like, this is certainly not for me. But healthy discernment doesn't always arrive at a moment where you feel like this isn't for me. Sometimes it arrives as quiet discomforts that you just can't explain, right? And it can be micro moments. It doesn't have to be massive. Maybe something about their behavior doesn't match their words. Take note of that. Maybe you subtly feel drained after spending time with them. Take note of that. Maybe they're technically doing everything right, but you don't feel settled in your presence. Like, how do you feel in this? Stop watching them. Come back into your body. How do you feel when you're around this person? And maybe it's time to trust that feeling instead of convincing yourself you're being too cautious. I have worked with women that they know they're very smart and emotionally aware and they know that something's not for them. But even their social circle will start convincing them that you need to put yourself out there, you can't be so guarded. And this is, we've got to be careful of this as just a community. Or it could be the other way around. Someone could really feel a match to someone and their peers could be saying, oh, I don't know. It really depends on the situation. But what I'm saying is heal yourself enough to trust your gut. Now, not all the voices are your gut, but once you know your gut, your intuition, trust that over everything. You right? Even if you have paid £1 million in mentorship for someone, trust your inner being because sometimes you don't need all the evidence in the world to be certain. And it's okay. You don't have to end a relationship if you see those micro moments. You can take a step back and you don't actually owe anyone a relationship until they've proven they're safe for you. You're allowed to just monitor the alignment. Discernment isn't paranoia, it's trusting yourself before the evidence becomes impossible to ignore. And this is not being hyper, like trying to find a fault. It's just being in your own body, trusting the flow of life, and understanding that things that you pick up on are always messages, good and bad. So if you remember one thing from this video, let it be this. Don't believe that your problem is that you don't know how to spot a wolf. Deep down, most women are amazing at spotting wolves in sheep's clothes. The question is, why are you letting them enter and stay after it doesn't feel aligned? Why are you explaining away what you already know? Why are you giving someone more chances than they've earned? Why are you abandoning your own discernment to hold on to the hope of who they could become? Because that's where the pattern lives. And it's rarely about recognizing the wolf, and it's about understanding why the person feels so addictive in the first place. When you answer that question, you stop trying to become better at spotting manipulative people and become someone who no longer mistakes familiarity for safety, potential for character, and words for trust. And that's when your relationships begin to change. That's when your choices begin to change. And I'd love to know in the comments which of these 5 reasons resonated with you the most.